Hello and welcome to the Powerful Personal Brand Podcast. I am your host, Claire Bahn, and on today's episode, I am very excited to be joined by Greg Brewer. Greg has spent more than 30 years making wine in California's Santa Rita Hills. He co-founded Brewer Clifton in 1996 and went on to design and lead winemaking at Melville for nearly 2 decades. And in 2020, he was named Winemaker of the Year by Wine Enthusiast magazine. Really great resume. And Greg, thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited to have you on the show today.
Oh, I'm super excited. It's a thrill and a privilege. Thank you, Claire. I'm stoked.
Thank you. Obviously 1996, you built Brewer Clifton. Were you thinking about your personal brand at that time? Was it kind of a thought because your name was in the business? Were you thinking about that at all?
No, it's a great question. I wasn't. I mean, I was 26 years old, right? And we started Brewer Clifton with $12,000, myself and my former partner. So it wasn't, one thing we didn't have was that kind of concept of like, oh, we're going to build a brand and do this and have a business plan. It was a lot more kind of dreamy and beautifully naive, I guess, in some ways. With that said, however, one thing that was critical or has been critical, I think, for our journey is having a point of view, and having a steadfast point of view. And it's been, I'm prideful that over the past 30 years, we've kind of held on to that very specific point of view. And I don't know about like personal brand per se, but one thing I was very cognizant of early, working in a tasting room and then becoming an assistant winemaker and kind of being trained on the job, was being important to an enterprise. Yeah. So especially in the role of production or kind of back of the house, it's so easy to be kind of anonymous. And if you're anonymous, it's okay. It's not derogatory, but if you're anonymous, it's okay. But there's a little more fragility there, I think. And so I was really reflecting on, and this is like a 21 or 22. I mean, I'm not that smart, but like I saw this anyway, is like thinking about like Julia Child, Wolfgang Puck, like, and, other people, like Gordon Ramsay, whoever it is, people that can bridge front and back of the house and become important to an entity. Yeah, to kind of be the face of an entity. So that I saw in Steve Clifton, we had that from the beginning. But it wasn't, and maybe it's kind of more sincere that way in some ways, right? Because, I just saw like that was a survival tactic. It wasn't like a goal. It was just a means of becoming important to something.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I never really thought about that. But yeah, essentially the beginnings of personal branding was literally like front of house. This is the back of house. Yeah. Like really, well, because if you think about that, those people that you mentioned, they've had careers that have far beyond what they were doing in the kitchen because of the fact that they were known and they were the face and they were front of house. Do you find that like opportunities and other things have kind of come your way because you're not afraid to kind of be front and center?
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, right? So if, I love it. I come from, my background's in education, teaching. I mean, I taught French for a hot minute before I got into wine, and all my family teaches. My mom was a DA. I mean, we're all kind of theatric and kind of teaching. That's like our family business kind of. And so, what's interesting is also I do love and revere the kind of monastic, kind of quiet back of the house cellar work. I'm kind of a cellar guy ultimately. However, as much as I want to do that a lot, it does slow down the success of the enterprise sometimes, right? And it's a selfish move. And I'm realizing, especially at this stage of my career, that, yes, I like doing the work, working, with myself and my associate in the winery and doing our thing. That's great. But to further the business, to further the cause, my being out there is critical, really. And then, you're out there, and then before you know it, you're exposed, you're vulnerable, you're talking to people, you're engaging with people, you're kind of bearing your soul for people. And then, it's like a snowball, things kind of pick up. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, you're so cool. Come speak to my thing. A situation like this, for goodness sakes, me doing a wine dinner and then we meet, you know what I mean? So that's crucial, I think, especially if you can perform, if you think about those other colleagues that have succeeded in that, staying in the vernacular of cuisine, right? The Julia, Wolfgang Puck, Gordon Ramsay thing, they're phenomenally successful and engaging,
Mm-hmm.
as people and as
Yeah.
personalities. And I think as a
Right.
result, then their restaurants through their brand can just go like
Yeah. Yeah.
galactic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking of Wolfgang Puck. Like, if you go to Spago, he's always working the room.
Always,
Come
always.
guys,
There's,
always.
always.
You're
There's like
like,
95 of him. No matter what day. It could be a Tuesday, raining, like early
yes,
January at like early lunch. And I'll be like, oh,
yes.
that's a healthy pizza.
We have
Like,
chefs here.
whatever.
I know but it's an interesting thing because ultimately, even though this is what I do, I was kind of doing a little too much back of house running the business because we really had an upswing and I wasn't doing this.
Right.
And this is really important for the business. And ultimately, I think that's such an important lesson, especially because it's kind of like I kind of think of like Huberman and all those people that are telling you to do hard things. This is the hard thing. Putting
For
yourself
sure.
out there, going to all those events because it's so much easier to be going, sitting in the back with your colleagues working on the next wine and variety. What are you going to do? I know that you kind of got a lot of new things happening at the winery, but yeah, it's and it can add a lot more to your plate, especially if you're traveling a lot.
Yeah. And you nailed it. I mean, you touched on it's harder, right? It's harder. And it's something that I've been thinking about a lot in the past several couple years in particular, just being, and especially now, like in wine, wine sales globally have gotten a little bit soft in the past couple of years. There's like generational stuff. There's different reasons for that. We don't need to explore that kind of rabbit hole. That's a whole different conversation. But
Yeah.
but but more than ever on the road, like I hit so hard, Claire, like when I'm doing distributor presentations and whatever,
Mm.
like it's almost manic. I'm like playing
Yeah.
with my scarf and working the room and talking about being a latchkey welfare kid in LA and my mom the DA. And no, but it's real. And I hit
Yeah.
people that way. And I think especially with the this kind of growing climate, if you will, with AI and different things, it's easier for people to kind of retreat and kind of hide behind something else. Yeah.
Hmm.
Even like, oh, I wasn't sure about writing a letter, so I used AI to learn, like, kind of help me write a thank you note to someone. That's okay, great. But that, not only is it not altogether raw, vulnerable, sincere, I fear that it's going to like further erode someone's confidence in writing their
And
own letter and
trust.
their own thing and trust and everything else. And so, it's not like, oh gosh, the world's ending. It's not that. It's
Hmm.
actually the opposite, where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. If people are going to resort and retreat to that space a little bit for a million reasons, and that's fine. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
not hating on that. It's all okay.
Yeah.
Everyone makes their own choices. But then
Right.
there's an opportunity to
Yes.
just, to really bare your soul. And then there's like people believe in you. It's not
Hmm.
everything tastes good. All wines taste good. All tea tastes good. All food feeds you. All the scarf could
Some
keep me.
wine's
I
not
mean,
so good. I'm sorry, I'm picky. Some wine's not so good.
um, but but then what? So then
Yeah.
it's a question of why. Like, why? What's the motivation behind doing something? Yeah, and you can't
I
convey that unless it's you.
Yeah, I think the other thing, if you think about the fact that wine sales specifically have gone down in the Gen Z,
Hmm.
who cares more about the why, who you are, why you did it, and the fact that you are so passionate. And I'm just gonna your full bio will end up in the description box because y'all you've got to read this. He has thought of everything and how he feels so passionately about the wine. And you do. I'm in person. You are so passionate about what you do. And I think that's one of the things that if in a world where people want to know why, they want to know the passion versus just like, let's just get drunk.
Right, for
I mean,
sure.
it is for me, I do care about my wine and I'm very picky about like the wine clubs that I belong to. I belong to Brewer Clifton.
Hmm.
But it's because I think that I like when winemakers care. And I think there's a lot of them that don't. I mean, I do love Napa, but you can see a lot of those what they don't care at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's intent is a big deal, and it's like if someone's phoning it in. I mean, it can
Mhm.
be a conversation, it can be a handshake, it can be a
Yeah.
hug. Oh hey, how you doing? Pat on the back. Oh hey, bro, cool, whatever. Or like, oh, I'm really struggling, and someone holds you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like a massage, whatever it is. If someone's really, again, I overuse the word vulnerable sometimes, and I should find some other synonyms for it. But
Yeah.
it's that kind of pure intent vulnerability. Like
Right.
you're willing to fail because like
Yeah.
you have to run that risk. Like in the case of these wineries, there was really never a plan B. And so you're
Hmm.
operating in a way where it's not like, oh yeah, a winery, that'll be cool. Let's start a little winery and that'll be fun. It's like, wow, like this has to work. And so you operate in a very personal, raw way.
Yeah.
I think, and to your point about Gen Z, that's been fascinating too, because obviously it's easy to categorize and all the generational cliches
Right.
that everyone talks about. And what I've found is obviously so of course but like they're starving for something real.
Hmm.
It's not like they're not into wine or they're not into XYZ. They just want something that's real
Right.
and relatable and also brought to them with language and vocabulary and vernacular that's totally understandable and not
Hmm.
like pompous elitist talking down to. That's obnoxious.
Right.
That doesn't help
Yeah.
anybody.
Right.
But if I've always done this because I've always been turned on with people that explain things to me in a manner that can be so hardcore and cerebral, but also very inclusive and
Yeah.
easy to understand. So using shapes
Right.
and colors and personifying and whatever it is. But once you do that, what I've found on the road is like, early 20s. I mean, people are like, they're like crying. They're so into it and they're
Mm.
so loyal and they're so intrigued. And it's riveting. You just can't
Yeah.
roll in like, oh, I'm some old winemaker and look at these barrels I use and stuff that's kind of cliche and boring.
Yeah. You could get that anywhere. Like, so it was actually funny. I was talking to actually my PR team. We're talking about some stuff for me, and I was talking about, because the thing that comes up a lot is AI, and you mentioned AI, and a lot of people can like kind of phone it in. And I feel like when you're at a certain level and you're at the top of your game, that is the time when you do not lean into AI, because like you said, people are going to know you're phoning it in. If you're phoning it in and you're like starting out, like, okay, you're getting, getting your sea legs and all that kind of stuff. But like eventually, yeah, you have to bring your experience, you have to show vulnerability, and you have to be personable. Otherwise, if you're looking for a job, they're going to go to somebody else. If they're looking for another wine to drink, they're going to go to somebody who's passionate, who shows up in their town, who goes the extra mile. And is that what you're really finding?
Oh, completely, completely. And in concert with that is, the concept of being relevant, right?
Yeah.
And I don't, because of what I do and this kind of, quirky, deviant craftsperson kind of vibe that I have, it's all about being relevant, right? So I've always been inspired and turned on and intrigued by a lot of wineries and winemakers, sure, but a lot of things outside of the
Hmm.
wine kind of world. So like Bjork and Prince and Diane van Furstenberg, things where you hear a couple of notes of that person, or like a little bit of that person's voice,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, and you know who it is. With Diane van Furstenberg, it doesn't have to be a wrap dress. I mean, you can see a
Right.
little bit of a print on a skirt
Print.
at
Hmm.
the shopping mall or whatever, if and it's a DVF thing, right? And so
Yeah.
I love, again, that kind of relevant point of view. Is it for everybody? No, but it's a unique thing, and I think that's something that I've always really tried to kind of share and impress on younger colleagues if they want to like hang out and listen or get some feedback. Is like, look, everything tastes good, right? So it's not about chasing the middle. There's competent, and that's fine. And I guess to your point about AI, I would kind of put that, again, I'm naive to it, but I would put it in the kind of competency world. You can have an adequate something, you can have a
Right.
competent something, and I'm sure with time and some AI expert will be like, "Dude, you're such a loser. Like, there's so much more to it that you don't understand." But for me, I want our wines not to be for everybody,
Right.
right? And I simply don't want them to resemble other things, not in a quirky bearded lady at the circus freak show thing,
Hmm.
but a little off kilter, and again, very, very raw and unique. Otherwise, you're competing against like everybody. If you go to an
Yeah.
interview and you're wearing your business casual thing and whatever, I'm not saying go in and be crazy, but like a little
Be
edge,
you.
yeah, be you for sure. But
Yeah.
whatever, a little piercing, like sure, a tattoo here and there, whatever your thing is, or
Right.
be super buttoned up and boy or girl next door. I mean, whatever the thing is, it's fine. But something so that people don't forget you. That's the key. And so many things are forgettable these days.
I
I
think
find.
it kind of for as you're talking, what's coming to my mind is literally because I do love fashion and clothes, even though I'm wearing my gray and whatever. But um, I like what I like, and ultimately, I'm finding like in the luxury market, like you have your LVMHs and all these, and everyone's like, it's it's all kind of manufactured. Nothing is like back to its roots. Like it's not it's made out of plastic. No one cares anymore. There's no craftsmanship, and you still have your ones like Hermes and Loro Piana, meh. But some of them that are actually they deserving of the luxury label and the fact that they are unique. And I feel like that is kind of where you're differentiating yourself, because I feel like your wine is a luxury wine, and there's a lot of like expensive wines out there, but you're just like, did anyone care about this? Does anyone have any thought behind it, or is it just a manufactured, like, love it or hate it, but Veuve Clicquot, right? It always tastes the same. So you have to kind of say, like, am I going to go Veuve Clicquot, or am I going to make every bottle, make it different, make it unique, make it mine?
Right.
I think that's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, making it your own, and again, like being, not necessarily. And what's interesting too is it can really backfire, because I think
Mhm.
sometimes if people are kind of, especially on a smaller scale, or a newer brand you're trying to build, wherever the brand,
Mhm.
if you're trying to kind of play it safe, and like looking at, oh, this is popular, let's try to do that, then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's almost contrived, right? Because you're
Mhm.
you're you're chasing something that A is already there, B it's not really your thing.
Yeah.
And where I've found the most success is, it's almost surprising, is, there's Brewer Clifton, obviously, and then there's a project we have called Diatom that I started like 20 odd years ago. And it was inspired, but Diatom's a plankton fossil, right? So I wanted something very sashimi, stark, kind of Japanese, Scandinavian, snowy, walk, solitary, cold night kind of vibe. And I want a couple hundred cases. It was like the spirit animal kind of wine. And it wasn't like, I'm just going to do it for myself, but I didn't necessarily think about some big, vast audience, right?
Mhm.
Because it was like I wanted to do it so bad. Like I had to do this. I had to explore this, right? That was just so important. And then fast forward 20 odd years, and it's like this blossomed huge thing, and everyone's on board. And I'm like doing bottle signings at Costco, and it's like at yacht clubs, and edgy somms are drinking it out of the bottle. I mean, it's like it's everywhere. And I think it's because it was the intent was so specific,
Yeah.
right? I wasn't chasing. It was simply this kind of something within me that kind of had to come out.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier is doing the hard thing, because that is vulnerable. I mean, it's so vulnerable. I mean, you're putting money out there, you're putting your name, all these kind of things, and I think that that's like, it is scary to do something like that. So, what would your advice be to somebody that's like, I've got this like fantastic thing that I want to do. I'm kind of scared. It could ruin my name. I could lose a lot of money. What do you what would you tell someone like?
well, if you want to do something, then you have to really want to do something. I mean, really, 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 really want to do something, right? Because
Mhm.
if something's already been done, then it's already been done. Yeah, and I think, there's a chef, Marco Pierre-White, who's London-based, who's kind of since retired, but he had the first. His story is amazing, and I've been reading a lot of interviews and seeing different things with him recently, and he talks about I'll use it's food, but wine's the same. Any kind of object, any kind of craft is really the same.
Mhm.
He states that it should be kind of an extension of yourself, or it's an extension of your personality. He says you're just a cook, like Mother Nature's in charge. I mean, there's something else that's kind of governing a large part of the outcome of so many of these things,
Yeah.
and that the food should offer these subliminal, kind of quiet, discrete snapshots of like your early beginning, right? And
Mhm.
so for all of those things, it has to be personal, otherwise you're a cover band.
Mm,
and that's okay. Like their cover bands are fine. Like, play Journey covers at Disneyland on a Thursday night. Like that's
right.
amazing. Don't Stop
Yeah.
Believing, the whole thing. Have your lighters out. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
totally okay. The time and place for that, it's amazing. I love everyone's happy as a clam to hear it. However, if you're looking to do something like of your own,
Right.
you have to want it so bad, and also have to be willing to embrace, not failure is a heavy word, but like, hiccups, roadblocks, hurdles,
Right.
right? Because they're going to be there, you
Yeah.
know. So
I think that it's so like a lot of what you're saying really aligns with personal branding and putting yourself out there. It can feel scary. And there are people that won't do it. And like you said, that's fine. But you can't be angry that you don't get the success that someone else does because they were willing to risk things.
right.
And that, I think that's kind of one of the biggest things too. Because people are like, well, this person isn't deserving of this accolade or that accolade. But you're like, but they put themselves out there and
For
you
sure.
didn't.
For sure. Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, Claire, you're so lucky. Your career has been so successful. And it's like, oh yeah, I just woke up one day and here I am.
Boom, here I am.
Wow, lucky me.
Yeah.
No, 100% that. And it's hard, you walk into, I work with our team, our tasting room staff, everything. It's like, go up, talk to people, like engage, ask them where
Yes.
they're from, ask them anything. And it's tough asking someone at a bar that they want to drink, or at that old school, like how people meet. It's hard, and some
Mhm.
of those skills are are probably increasingly difficult in this day and age with phones, and
Yeah.
it's easier to retreat behind something else,
Right.
and it's less like, oh hey, you want to play with a kid on the playground, like you just find a kid on the playground and you bring your ball and you're like, hey, do you want to
Yeah.
play ball with me?
Right.
It's a little bit, it was easier back, kind of Gen Xy, kind of, I don't know, six, probably even before me, it was even easier than my era.
Right.
But that, like, just hand outstretched, the kind of welcoming thing, and when you
Yeah.
do that, someone might not give you the response that you're thinking about, even on walks, Claire,
Mhm.
like you're walking down the beach, whatever it is, and like I
Yeah.
make a point of, not in a creepy way, but like waving, like, oh hi,
Yeah.
everyone's listening to music, doing their thing, but a little
Yeah.
token, like, and some light up, like it's like
Yeah.
amazing, and some look down and get kind of weird about it, and it's like, I'm not asking you out, like I'm just giving
Yeah.
you a
Yeah.
wave on the men, women, whatever it is. And
Right.
so, because it's a, even that's a vulnerable step, but
Yeah.
if you're gonna go out there in this world that we're talking about, in the personal
Right.
branding space, you have to be vulnerable. Otherwise, if you don't want to be, then don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So say you're talking to someone. You mentioned started your company at 26, so they're 26, younger, and they want to become a winemaker. They want to be a chef. That what in that kind of same space. What advice would you give them as far as building a personal brand, putting yourself out there? Like, what advice would you give? Like percentage focus on your craft, percentage focus on being out, like get out there and do the uncomfortable stuff. What advice would you give?
yeah, for that kind of pie chart percentage thing, I think the fundamentals and skill set and producing something that's appropriate. I mean, it's kind of a given. I mean, so that
Yeah.
there's that part of it. And so doing the work, and not rushing that, and receiving the mentorship, kind of receive the kind of care and nurturing that's widely available, kitchens, wineries, clothing store, whatever. So, kind of doing that work, and then and being, very kind about it and open to it, and working really hard. I mean, like, again, if there's, for me, there were the people, like the colleagues that have since passed away, many of them, but that were at the covers of Wine Spectator, and
Mhm.
the kings of Chardonnay and Pinot, and back in the early 90s. And I would, like, reach out, I'd write letters, and I'd kind of introduce myself to them, and I'd go visit them, and taste with them, and kind of learn from them. And so, kind of having the humility to do that, realizing that, most things in life are not new, right? The wine's been around for a billion years, right? I'm not making anything new. It's just a different
Yeah.
mashup or articulation of different circumstances. And then if you are going to venture out and do something, like, think about why, and with a huge fear of redundancy. in the
Mhm.
market. Or, it's like I've seen that where it's an assistant winemaker somewhere and they're working at winery A, and then they want to start their own project and they completely just emulate what was going on at the kind of the parent mothership kind of winery. And it's like, well,
Mhm.
you're making a couple hundred cases of wine, and like, why just do it at work? You know, you're
Yeah.
going to get your paycheck and, wear the t-shirt and off you go.
Right.
But if you're going to do something, like mess it up, I mean, there's got to be a reason why you want to do something.
Yeah.
And then really looking to take inspiration from other things. So again, someone's background, someone's aesthetic, someone's thing, and thinking about that and really reflecting there. And then the key thing is once, yes, we all evolve, we can fine tune and kind of, move the needle and dials a little bit, but really sticking to your guns,
Mhm.
and kind of being prepared to really go down with the ship sounds tragic, but
Mhm.
commit to it, and I
Yeah.
love, in the case of Brewer Clifton, in 30 years, like, the labels never changed, the aesthetics never changed. Of course, we fine-tuned what we've learned. It's been 3 decades, but it's like evolution, not revolution. So
Yeah.
before setting a path, really, thinking about it, measuring twice, cutting once, whatever the expression is,
Yeah.
so that you're not like, oh, in a couple of years, I'm going to try that. Oh, that didn't really work. I'm going to try that. Like, then all of a sudden you don't have an identity.
Right. You're just like, oh, wherever the wind blows.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
and you think about it in terms of anybody, a relationship, meeting someone. I mean, confidence is sexy. Confidence sells. Yeah. So
Hmm.
when I work with sales reps, when I work with servers
And
in a
commitment.
commitment, yeah, and like owning it and
Hmm.
committing to it, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hi, I'm Greg. Oh, hi, I'm Claire. Bang. Like, all of a sudden we're on a good place. Like, oh, hey, and I'm fumbling and kind of nervous. You can be like, okay, like, okay, cool. You're kind of shy and awkward, and maybe that's endearing in its own way, but
Right.
not in the case of going out this way, I think,
Yeah.
and having something that people will remember, that's real, not like a token, I don't know, catchphrase or takeaway, or like, oh,
Well, I
here's a
mean, there's so many
corkscrew when I come to. I
trends
mean,
and all of these things, and they come and go so quickly. 20 years like ago, and clothes and all these things. I'm like, why are there so many trends? I hate the trends.
right.
you know and yeah, I think that one thing that you said that really stuck with me, and I think that this could be a lesson to younger people. You mentioned kind of essentially doing the informational interview where you would go and speak to people and just like, I want to hang out. What changed? I feel like now everyone's like, okay, I'm going to do the informational interview, you're going to get me a job, you're going to help me go to the next level. And you're like, no, this is your opportunity to talk to somebody that's actually been there, learned a lot. Just sit back and listen. And if you are there intentionally listening, part of it, like, all of a sudden, maybe the person will do something for you, but it's only if you truly want to be there. I think that's the key.
That's the key,
Yeah.
and also not accelerating that process, right?
Yeah.
So I think, again, in the day and age of technology and information's everywhere, knowledge is
Hmm.
not,
Right.
right? So differentiating between, like, oh, there's a winery that gets some play in the media, and oh, I'm gonna search Greg Brewer Chardonnay that just got some score, and oh, Greg,
Right.
here's Greg. Oh, great, I got it. Check, move on. Great. I mean, I guess it's easy, and it's a starting place, but back in the day, it was like you could read an article about someone in a magazine, and then
Hmm.
like, I'd send a fax or send a letter, and then I'd
Yeah.
drive up and visit, and it's a different type of thing, and I think just being, I've seen a little bit of impatience. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of what you touched on a bit with regards to that, just like breathe it in thing. And I love
Yeah.
Japan, as a bazillion people know, and I'm like totally turned on my sushi chefs and that whole culture of like that upbringing and that nourishment and identity and contentment, just with repetition and everything else. But when you apprentice sushi chef, and that apprentice makes rice only for like three
Right.
years, and then they graduate to vegetable, and then they graduate to egg, and it's like
Yeah.
it's a long thing, and it's not like, it's not abusive. It's not like, oh, hey, I'm hazing you. It's not that. It's like
Right.
it takes time
Yeah.
to
So,
understand some of that nuance.
question that I have on that subject. So I'm glad you kind of, forayed into that. What was the one piece of advice that you were given that you were like, what? That's you thought it was stupid. Like, I'm going to become a winemaker. Like, someone gave you advice. This is how you're going to make great wine. And you're like, that is the stupidest advice I've ever heard, but it was actually good. Do you have anything like that?
For me, there was like, I guess the wine specific thing, and it could be applied to other things
Yeah.
also, is like never to make a rash decision, right?
Okay.
So a lot of things correct themselves. Like wine, it's nature, right? A lot of things kind of correct themselves, and if you insert yourself or you try too hard or you try to make things too perfect, I
Okay.
think that can really backfire. And I think
Okay.
once you embrace imperfection, you can arrive at perfection, right? There's the
Okay.
Japanese term wabi sabi. It's like a note that's deliberately out of tune, a hair out of place, like a wrinkle and something, like a mole. I mean, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. And if you try too hard to overcorrect, then things can become kind of generic and washed out and
Right. I'm thinking
homogeneous.
plastic surgery. So
Or
you did too much.
that's a great point, right? See,
Yeah.
there are people, even Photoshop auto tune. That's kind of,
Yeah.
you see someone who's beautiful in their own way, and then you see them on a magazine, not tabloid, but you see them like on a pretty magazine, and it's like,
Right.
wow, he or she's so gorgeous, and like they're almost not anymore because it's like if it's all touched up and weird, it's like
Right. They
that's
don't look
not so
human.
awesome. Yeah, it doesn't look human, and
Yeah.
so that's one thing. Is like embracing that little deliberate off kilter thing. I think that's critical in anything really.
I think that's
Um,
a hard thing now because I
it's
think
very hard.
because you can. Do you feel like there's like with younger people that you might be dealing with, it's harder for them to do that now because now you can face tune, you can fix all the imperfections and everything can be perfect. Why can't, like, I kind of am thinking like if you're tasting wine at some stage and you're like, oh, if I just added this or did that, I could tweak it to be like this. But is that what you're talking about? Kind of like changing things?
Completely. I mean, so
Yeah.
there's that kind of manipulative type of thing with regards to the product itself. And in this day and age, I mean, there's all kinds of things at our disposal. I mean, to make
Right.
wines competent, right? So that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, to your point about the other, like I love, I sometimes some of the people with whom I work in like marketing and whatever, they're like, oh, we'll have a video team come down. We'll do this. We'll do this. We'll do this. Like a little half hour, like half minute, like 1 minute teaser wine release thing. I'm like, no, dude, stay there, stay at home. I'll send it to you in 3 minutes, right? And I pull my phone out and I prop it on something and I get light that's decent and it's me.
Hmm.
And I hit really hard, one take, send. But
Yeah.
that's me. And if the phone kind of fumbles, I mean, not in a silly way, but if something isn't all like pretty and put
Yeah.
together,
I
it's
think it's
it's
authentically
more
your brand.
relatable, it's more relatable, and it's more
Yeah.
authentic, I think, right?
Right.
Which are words that we're all going back to with
Yes.
regards to
I
these,
think,
generations and everything else.
yeah, I was reading an article because we were talking with Gen Z, but basically they're kind of going back to being analog. They want to
Hmm.
be disconnected. They want to, because they're like, I've been so connected. I want real. I want to listen to records.
I
I
was
want
just
to,
about to say that. Yeah, I was
yeah,
just about to say vinyl. It's a great example. I want to stop. I physically do something every
yeah,
25 minutes to turn the vinyl over. I want the thing
yeah,
to scratch. I want to like pull the lint off the needle, whatever it is.
right,
Things that we all thought the 8-track tapes are probably coming next. But like I was thinking about but think about that. If it's all immediate and polished
yeah,
and like with one stroke you can hear anything anywhere without even a chord, then okay, but then what?
mm-hmm,
You're going to retreat into something else. And then the other thing, going back to branding specifically, is as far as lessons, I had a huge opportunity. It was amazing. I was part of an auction thing to have lunch with Diane von Furstenberg. It was like 10 years ago in New York at her office. It was nuts. I was like crying. It was like being in her presence was like, it was amazing.
that is
And
amazing.
I asked her almost like this. I said, Diane, I said, how have you maintained the stamina that you've maintained from being, a princess to Studio 54, bankrupt half a dozen times. I mean, like you're you, and she's so beautiful, and her hair's everywhere, and Warhol's. I mean, she's like, she's amazing. And she looked at me and dead in the eye, and she goes, "Be true to your brand." And she said, "That's
Yeah,
all you. That's all you have." So thinking about like her in the 70s and that whole Studio 54 thing to 80s, 90s, like you mentioned, trends kind of coming and going. Yeah, you're aware and you might evolve a little, but you can't chase because chasing's failure. I
Right.
mean, then all of a sudden, if you're chasing, you're demonstrating that you're not really true to what you believe in,
Yeah.
right? And so then, the authenticity wanes, the point of view becomes blurry and less kind of direct. And so that's the key advice that's inspired me, and that's kind of my compass, and that
Yeah.
I like sharing with others as well.
I feel like that's such a great kind of like rounding out of this episode. So normally at the end of the episode, I say, "Hey, where can people find out about you?" But I'm going to make sure that they have all the links and everything. Is there anything that you are going to be announcing soon, or you want to talk about? Like, hey, I'm going to be at this event coming up, or something like that you want to announce. So we could drop the link for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would just say anyone who's into me or wines or whatever, my Instagram, I keep as current as I can. I put
Yeah,
stories up almost daily, and that's kind of like my running. When I'm about to do something, I kind of promote the restaurants and where I'll be on the road, and then kind of recapping things. So if people want to learn more, and then they can message me. I love writing. I love correspondence. I love, kind of letter exchange. I've always kind of loved that as a kid. And,
yeah,
so, letters, texting, email, whatever it is. But I love that kind of, again, it's vulnerable, right?
mm-hmm.
You even reach out to someone. It's a vulnerable overture. So,
Yeah,
I love doing it. I love receiving it. And I always
yeah.
receive it with huge open arms and a warm response immediately. So I would encourage people to kind of engage with me that way. And then we can kind of take it from there, depending on, kind of meeting everyone where they are.
Okay. Well, Greg, this was such a great episode, and I really appreciate you being here.
Thank
So
you,
many, so
Claire.
many fantastic things that we talked about. So it was a really, really fun episode, and I can't wait to see you either like at an event or maybe at the tasting room soon.
For sure. Awesome. Thank you, Claire. What an honor to be with
Yeah.
you. It really means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for listening and watching. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.